This is the skyline of Dallas, Texas. It is instantly recognizable, a collection of iconic skyscrapers that project an image of immense corporate power. But this skyline is a lie. Not because it is not real, but because it is a carefully crafted illusion. It suggests that this cluster of buildings is the heart of the city, the single center of gravity from which all power and influence emanates. But in Dallas, that is not how it works. The true power of Dallas is not in its downtown. It is hidden in plain sight, scattered across hundreds of square miles in unassuming office parks and suburban corporate campuses. This is only one of the aspects that make Dallas such a profoundly misunderstood city. Beyond its skyline, Dallas's entire structure is the opposite of what you expect from a major American city. Its growth was not organic, it was engineered. Its suburbs are not just suburbs, they are rival economic centers. And its greatest strengths are not its iconic buildings or cultural landmarks, but the invisible systems of commerce and logistics that hold the entire region together. Overall, Dallas is not just another example of American urbanism. It is a radical and intentional departure from it, a blueprint for a completely different kind of city. So, how exactly did Dallas end up like this? And what specific choices led it to reject the centralized model that defines almost every other great city in the world? To answer that, we have to go back to a time when Dallas had no skyline, no highways, and almost no reason to exist. You see, in the mid-19th century, the great cities of America were being forged by geography. New York had its harbor, Chicago its access to the Great Lakes, and New Orleans its command of the Mississippi River. Dallas had black clay prairie and a shallow, unnavigable river. It was a landlocked trading post in the middle of nowhere, and by all logic, it should have faded into obscurity. Its population in 1870 was a mere 3,000 people. The fundamental problem Dallas faced was not the chaos of rapid growth, but the existential threat of total irrelevance. During this period, starting in the late 19th century, the future of the American continent was being written in steel. Railroads were the arteries of commerce, and a connection to a major line was the difference between life and death for a fledgling town. The leaders of Dallas understood this better than anyone. With no natural advantages to speak of, they embarked on one of the most audacious and consequential lobbying efforts in American history. In 1873, through a combination of shrewd negotiation, political maneuvering, and backroom deals, they convinced two of the nation's most powerful railroad companies, the Houston and Texas Central and the Texas and Pacific, to cross their main lines directly through their tiny, isolated town. This was one of the first and most profound acts of engineered urbanism in the United States, and it proposed something truly radical for the time, that a city could invent its own strategic importance. It could create a geographical advantage where nature had provided none. The overall goal was to simply make Dallas a point of connection, a node in a network, believing that where the tracks went, commerce would inevitably follow. While Dallas never had a single, all-encompassing master plan like Daniel Burnham's for Chicago, that core idea that engineered connectivity is more powerful than natural geography has defined the city ever since. The most noticeable modern fruition of this philosophy is the Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. Opened in 1974, it is a city in itself, an airport so vast it has its own postal code and is larger than the island of Manhattan. It was not built to serve the existing city. It was built to create a global city. It functions as a massive economic engine for the entire region, a 21st century version of that original audacious railroad crossing. Aside from the airport, the region is woven together by a dense web of interstate highways. That network cements its status as one of the most critical logistics and distribution hubs in North America. As I have already mentioned, Dallas's polycentric or multi-centered structure is the most crucial aspect of its design. In fact, according to detailed economic analyses, it is one of the most economically diverse and resilient metro areas in the country, precisely because it is not dependent on a single vulnerable core. As the city grew explosively in the 20th century, its leaders and business community made a conscious choice. Instead of fighting the decentralizing forces of the automobile, they embraced them. They did not see sprawl as a problem to be solved, but as an opportunity to be exploited. However, for those not from Dallas, this structure can be difficult to interpret at first. This is a map showing the major economic centers of the Metroplex. At the geographic heart is downtown Dallas, but it is surrounded by other, equally powerful nodes. To the north, you have the corporate corridors of Plano and Frisco, home to the headquarters of Toyota North America and the PGA of America. To the west, you have the transportation and logistics hub around DFW, Airport in Irving, home to McKesson, the 9th largest company in America. And further west, you have the city of Fort Worth, a major cultural and economic center in its own right, home to American Airlines. From there, corporate growth has continued to push outward in every direction. Every suburb in the Metroplex is a potential headquarters city. So, if you work for a major corporation in the region, there is a very good chance your office is not in a downtown skyscraper, but in a sprawling, low-slung campus dozens of miles from the city center. But Dallas's design does not stop with its decentralized economy. Just as important is how the city's infrastructure evolved to serve this unique model. The DART Light Rail System, which stands for Dallas Area Rapid Transit, first opened in 1996 and has since expanded to become the longest light rail system in the United States, stretching over 93 miles of track. On the surface, this seems like a contradiction. Why would a car-centric, sprawling city build such a massive rail network? The answer lies in its purpose. It was not built to create dense, walkable, transit-oriented neighborhoods in the style of Chicago or Boston. Instead, it was built to connect the sprawling, far-flung pieces of the Metroplex to each other. Chicago, on the other hand, built its elevated train system to funnel the entire city's population into a single, hyper-dense core. The loop became the undisputed backbone of its network. Dallas's system has no single backbone. It is a web designed to serve a region of many centers. Because of this, the system's primary function is to provide a commuter alternative between these distant nodes, not to replace the car for everyday life. It is a system built for the reality of sprawl, not as an attempt to reverse it. This unique structure is also the key to Dallas's incredible economic resilience. Have a look at this map showing the industry clusters in the region. As is visible, the economy is not dominated by any single sector. While Houston is inextricably linked with the fortunes of the energy industry, and Austin's identity is tied to the tech sector, Dallas has quietly built a diversified economic fortress. It is a national leader in finance, logistics, professional services, advanced manufacturing, healthcare, and aviation, all at the same time. This creates a kind of economic balance that acts as a powerful shock absorber and underpins long-term resilience. When one sector is down, the others remain strong, protecting the region from the violent booms and busts that characterize more specialized economies. This is exactly the kind of economic diversification that countless cities across the United States are desperately trying to achieve. But it is absent in most of them because their economies are too reliant on the industries concentrated in their single downtown core. In practice, this balance means you get the best of both worlds. A region with the economic might and global influence of a true world city, but one that is not vulnerable to the collapse of a single sector. Basically, Dallas's economy is diversified enough to function like a stable, blue chip stock, but not so concentrated that it becomes risky, at least in most parts. This economic structure also plays a direct role in the region's housing market, especially when considering its size and importance. As of mid-2025, the median home price in the Metroplex sits at around $400,000. While no longer cheap, this is significantly more affordable than in the coastal megacities. There are many reasons for this, including the vast amount of land available for development, but the polycentric job market is a critical factor. Because high-paying jobs are distributed across the entire region, demand for housing is also spread out. There is not a single hyper-desirable location that everyone must live near, which helps prevent the extreme price spikes seen in metros with a single, dominant job center. The mix of decentralized job growth and widespread housing construction provides more entry points for renters and buyers, making the market more resilient to shifts in demand. So Dallas's story is largely shaped by the audacious choices that define it as a region. And that is why more than a century later, it still stands out as one of the most unique and economically powerful metropolitan areas in America.